Welcome to the Chronomix Media. On a cold winter morning in Tupelo, Mississippi, two souls were meant to enter this world. Two identical twins, two brothers, two futures intertwined. But fate had other plans. One would become the greatest musical icon the world has ever known. The other would never take his first breath. This is the story of Elvis and Jesse Presley, and how the death of a twin brother shaped the king of rock and roll. January 8, 1935. The Great Depression still held America in its grip. In East Tupelo, Mississippi, Vernon and Gladys Presley were expecting their first child, but something was different about this pregnancy. Gladys was carrying twins. The Presleys lived in a two-room shotgun house built by Vernon for $180. They had little money, and the pregnancy was already difficult for Gladys. Then, in the early hours of that January morning, everything changed. At 4 a.m., Jesse Garon Presley was born stillborn. 35 minutes later, Elvis Aaron Presley entered the world, crying and alive. The family couldn't afford a proper burial for Jesse. He was laid to rest in an unmarked grave, in a cardboard box serving as a coffin. Elvis would grow up knowing he had a twin, a brother he never met, but whose presence would shadow his entire life. Throughout his childhood, Elvis would often visit the unmarked spot where his brother lay. Gladys would tell her surviving son that he had the energy of two people. Perhaps she was right. The loss of Jesse affected the entire family dynamic. Gladys became extremely protective of Elvis, and Elvis developed an unusually close bond with his mother. Some say this relationship would later influence his emotional singing style. Elvis grew up with an inexplicable feeling of being incomplete. Friends would later recall him speaking about Jesse, wondering if his brother was watching over him, guiding his path. As Elvis's star began to rise, those close to him noticed something peculiar. In moments of great triumph, there was always a hint of sadness in his eyes. It was as if he was carrying both his own dreams and those of his lost brother. Elvis rarely spoke publicly about Jesse, but in private conversations, he would often wonder about what might have been. Some of his closest friends reported that Elvis believed he had to live life for both of them. Elvis's deep spiritual beliefs were well known, and many believe his connection to Jesse influenced his powerful gospel performances. The loss of his twin may have deepened his belief in the afterlife and his quest for meaning. He would talk about Jesse late at night, especially after his mother passed. He felt like part of him was always missing, but also like he was never truly alone. The story of Elvis Presley can't be told without acknowledging the brother he never knew. In every hip swing, every heartfelt ballad, every moment on stage, perhaps there was an echo of Jesse, the twin who never got to share the spotlight. Elvis's own daughter, Lisa Marie, would later say that her father seemed to carry both tremendous joy and profound sadness throughout his life. Maybe that's what made him so relatable to millions. He knew both the highs of unprecedented success and the depths of personal loss. Two brothers, born 35 minutes apart. One would become the king of rock and roll, the other would become a bittersweet memory. But together, they tell a story of how loss can shape a legend, and how the bonds of family can transcend even death itself. Elvis Presley carried the memory of his twin brother throughout his legendary career. Some say you can hear it in his most soulful ballads, the voice of a man singing for two. If you want to learn more about Elvis's extraordinary life, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on how this early loss might have shaped the king of rock and roll.